Hello, I'm Viggy Parhampton, and welcome to Tag Team Tales of Terror, where another horror author and I work together to create something short and diabolical. Today I've tagged John Cohn. John is the award-winning author of the popular novels The Island Mother and Slash Tag, as well as many wonderful short stories. He's also a board game designer with several horror-themed games that I, for one, can't wait to take a crack at. Welcome, John.
Hey, Viggy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm very excited for this.
Awesome. That's what we need. We need that kind of energy, right?
Yeah, I did a bunch of like improv in high school, and it's been 20 plus years since then, but I feel like it'll prepare me for today.
Muscle memory, right?
Yeah, we'll
Okay, good.
hope.
Are you nervous at all?
I feel like I should be more nervous, but you
I
know
don't
what?
want you to be nervous.
Daylight savings has me all like wonked out
Mhm.
right now, so I'm like too tired to be nervous.
That's probably the best place to be, right?
Yeah,
Just say what comes out, just say what comes into your mind and we'll go from there.
just like ordering at a restaurant. I never know what I'm going to order until like the words come out. Sometimes you have like two things, you're like, I don't know what I'm going to pick. I'm just going to say something, and apparently that's going to be what I want.
That's what this will be like, ordering off of a really weird menu.
Yeah.
So let's get into the rules. So, Tag Team Tales of Terror is a progressive story where you and I will alternate telling bits of the story until we reach some sort of satisfying conclusion, whatever that may be. And we'll each get 30 seconds, and I'll have a little timer up in the corner here. And I'll have a prompt that I draw from a hat to get us started. And then, as my guest, you get to go first,
Oh
which is
boy.
definitely the harder job, so I'm sorry. If you want a pen and a paper to jot things down, feel free. And
Good idea.
then, yeah, we're aiming for about 10 minutes, but if the story goes longer, if it's shorter, it's totally fine. We're just going to see what we
Right.
can come up with.
The paper I have is the back of a State Farm envelope for me. So, I'm going real profesh today.
Yeah. Repurpose, reuse, recycle. It's great.
Perfect.
And then after putting you through all of that, I have a little surprise for you as a thank you for
Ooh,
surviving.
okay. All righty.
Any questions before we get started?
30 seconds each. The onus is on me to get this ball rolling. We got a story for 10 minutes. I think I can do it.
I know you can do it. You know you can do it. No thinking, just knowing. Okay,
All
here's
right.
my hat.
Oh, what a great hat. Okay.
Yes. Bringing the bling here. Okay. I did write these, but I don't remember what any of them are. Let's see what we got. Shipwrecked on a deserted island.
Okay.
And whenever you're ready, let me know and I will start the timer.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Here we go. I'm starting the timer.
Who knew manatees could be so vicious? We were 4 days from our destination on our cruise ship when a pack of manatees came by, and the captain said, "Hey, everyone, look, it's one of the rare, beautiful sights that you can see as passengers on this ship, manatees." But oh, the humanity when we saw them leaping from the ship and just start tearing people apart all over the place.
The marine biologist who was sitting next to me said, I have never seen manatees act like this. Oh! And then a manatee bit her head off. It was horrifying, but given everything that was going on around me, I really didn't have time to grieve Dr. Gunderson. So I just kept going. I grabbed my husband, I grabbed my kids, and we ran for our cabin, hoping, praying that we could outrun these manatees as they flopped closer and closer towards us.
And who would have possibly known that their flippers were so well used in learning how to turn doorknobs? Of course, they got to the center control room and knocked out the power for all the security. So our little slidey cards to get in, they all got unlocked, and we thought, well, surely they can't bash their way in. This is an open, pull open door. They won't be able to knock it that way. But they were able to turn the knobs with their flippers and yank it open and just charge right in.
So we did the only thing we could do. We went out to the balcony of our cabin and we cowered there. And amid all the confusion, the manatees had caught the attention of the captain, and he had run out to try and take care of his passengers when a manatee got him. And before we knew it, the ship was on a crash course for the nearest island, and we had to brace ourselves for impact. We held on to the banister of the balcony. I held my family tight, and once again, we prayed.
The ship was coming to a point where it was going to crash into an island that was surrounded by fog for some reason. And we just had to jump because we saw that this island was crash was going to be too deadly. So we leapt into the water. Me and my family, we all were lucky enough to get into the deep end because other people we saw who were jumping later jumped into a coral reef where they got skinned and all sorts of nasty impaling. But we were okay.
But of course, all the blood in the water brought the sharks. And as we swam faster and faster, we could see the fins behind us and the screams of fellow passengers who hadn't been as lucky as us. And somewhere behind us, we could hear the manatees leaping back into the water to finish the job. And we started to wonder if this was some sort of coordinated effort. As the marine biologist, the ill-fated biologist, had said, I have never seen manatees act this way. So we were left to wonder what could possibly be on the island up ahead.
And we didn't have to wait too long because once we scrambled onto the sandy shores, we found out that these sharks, along with the mutant manatees, were in fact working together. The sharks had legs. Then they followed us right up onto the shore, snapping and clawing at people, ripping heads off. Once we tried to make it into the past the beach into the first forest line, well, we weren't ready for what we saw.
The fog had really obscured everything, so we just plunged right into there. I couldn't believe that me and my family had been so lucky to escape the horrible fates. At this point, the only people that we could see were each other, and the fog was so thick, if there were somebody next to us, we wouldn't have seen them. So we barreled into the forest, trying to avoid trees, and just kept running, hoping that eventually we would find somebody or something that could either help us, shelter us, or feed us, because honestly, it had been right before dinner time, and we were all really hungry.
And boy, did we regret getting exactly what we asked for. We ran through the woods until we found what looked like a small village. And we thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be safe here. Everything's going to be okay. We're saved. But it was only once we ran into the actual enclosing of this village that we saw walls just coming up from the ground all around us. And we thought, oh, this will protect us from the monsters that are chasing us, but we were wrong.
We quickly came to realize that it was all a trap, and the legged sharks and the mutant manatees had funneled us into this village. And as we took a closer look at all of the little buildings around us, we started to see piles of bones. We saw discarded belongings. We saw t-shirts from the cruise that we'd just been on. And I had to wonder, was this all a setup? Was even the cruise director in on this? Was he in league with the legged sharks and the mutant manatees?
And of course, we figured there had to be some sort of correlation because after having seen the captain already get his head bit off on the boat, it was shocking when we saw what could have been his twin brother walk out of one of the buildings, welcoming us to his special place. Now, the way he said special certainly didn't make us feel warm or safe. In fact, it made our blood run cold with fear.
I held my children tight, I held my wife tight, and this man who looked just like our captain said, I've hated my brother Peter for a very, very long time. I wanted to be the captain of a cruise ship, but no, he got it, and this was the only way that I could pay him back. He will not be getting good reviews on TripAdvisor after this. In fact, I think that's the last cruise he's ever going to run, and I really have to rub it in. So now I'm going to have to kill all of you, and it's really not going to be pleasant.
So he led us forcefully into his main building, which turned out had a spiraling staircase that went deep underground, where it turns out that this was a well thought out facility. But of course, all of the buildings, doorways, all of the objects were very large. All of the machinery had weird ways that you'd interact with it because, of course, he had the manatees and sharks working as his own science minions.
And as we got to the bottom of this giant cavern, all of the legged sharks and the mutant manatees gathered around, and this evil man started talking to them in something that sounded like a series of squeaks and clicks, and they responded back in the exact same way. And we couldn't help but think, if this guy was so good at genetic engineering, why wouldn't he just do that instead of be a cruise director? But we really didn't have time to worry about that right now because just then the legged shark stepped forward and said,
Welcome to Captain Carlson's House of Pain. We are here not just to get revenge on the other captain, whose name was something, but also we're doing experiments on people. Of course, we learned how to speak from our own captain, and from this video documentary of Marlon Brando
In Streetcar Named Desire. So we kept looking around and we couldn't believe that we were about to be the subject of some sort of horrible experiment. And the legged shark stepped forward again. And after screaming Stella for way too long, he said, we've really wanted to work with some dolphins. They are the most annoying sea creature. So y'all are about to, get mutated in some dolphins. Sorry.
And just with that, they pressed a button and down came a shielded piece of metal, revealing a giant tank full of dolphins that had all sorts of electronics strapped to them. And then we saw there was a very similar looking piece of electronics on these tables nearby with cables running between the two. They gestured to our family and said, "Please lie down. The surgery is about to begin."
Of course, we were not going to take that without a fight, or at least I wasn't. I pushed my family to the side and I stepped up and I said, "Okay, come on, bring it. I'm not going to go down without a fight." And that's when one of the manatees came forward and slapped me with a flipper. I fell to the floor and the fight was pretty much over. So after that, we all just laid down on the tables because the more I thought about it, the more I thought if I had to be a genetically modified sea creature, maybe a dolphin, wasn't the worst. They're very smart. This is what I told my family as we all laid down, and I tried to make them forget about how I hadn't been able to protect them.
The next thing I remembered, I woke up and I could feel that there was a new appendage on my back. It was a fin. And I kept trying to cough, but it turned out that I was blowing air out of the back of my neck where I had formed a blowhole. It was horrifying, but also I had a strange new knowledge of the sea life
And echolocation. So the sharks jumped out at me and they said, "Okay, Nelson family, showtime." And they released us out into the ocean, and Captain Carlson yelled, "Good luck!" And at first we weren't sure what to do, but then we saw it. We saw a cruise ship in the distance, and we grabbed the manatees by the fin, and we all converged on this cruise ship, knowing that, hey, if you had to be a sea creature, this wasn't the worst way to become one.
is at the end.
I think that's the end.
That's the end. What a great way to put a nice little point on it there. I wasn't sure how you would bring it bring it all home.
I wasn't either. Okay, that was really fun.
That was a good time.
I like that one a lot, and I will never think about manatees the same way.
Great.
Yeah,
Well, if nothing else, I like to raise awareness of mutations in manatees.
I think they are an endangered species, so this is a public service announcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we have to name this story.
Okay. I already made the pun of "oh, the humanity." Um,
Oh, that's pretty funny though.
okay, good. All right, we'll go with "oh, the humanity."
Oh, the humanity. That's it. That's the title. I love a good pun. Perfect. Well, did you enjoy that? Was that fun?
Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. That was absolutely wild, and there was nothing that could have possibly prepared me for it.
Mm-mm. If you had asked me what direction you were going to take that, I never would have guessed. Never would have guessed mutant manatees, but I loved it. It was great.
Me neither. So we're both on the same page.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting when you team up with another author and neither of you knows where it's going. I mean, the craziest things happen every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, I mean, at least for me, there's when you have a situation where you're like, okay, we're going to be like storytelling like this, it has to go bonkers because like there's so much time that you have to build like dread in horror. And it's
Hmm.
like, and especially when we're kind of tag teaming, I don't know. I feel like that is an impossible task. I feel like going the other way into like madness and chaos, it gives you like more room to bounce off of and more places to just like take wild swings and have it at least make somewhat sense in the world that you've already established.
That's so true because it's hard to really foreshadow or even remember character names.
Yeah, what was the other
Peter?
captain's name?
Peter?
Peter?
That's all right.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I don't know, it made me laugh. I just remember that it was so like innocent sounding. I couldn't help but giggle.
Yeah, I mean, and I could not think of a Marlon Brando movie to save my life, and then that one came to me finally. I was like, okay.
Perfect.
I kept thinking
Perfect.
Charlton Heston, and I was like, I'm not going to say the Ten Commandments. That's not right. I know.
Well, at some point I felt like we were starting to move in toward Island of Dr. Moreau territory.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, and then I saw the timer I was going to say it, and then I was like, oh no, this is coming up at the perfect moment. I'm just going to stop.
Yeah, that was great. It's always funny how when I do these, there always is a beginning, a middle, and an end. It doesn't just go on. Like there is always some sort of satisfying conclusion.
Ah, fantastic. Oh my gosh. That was
Well,
great. That was so much fun.
yay! I'm so glad you liked it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of hungry after all of that work. So I created a recipe based off of slash tag just for you.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, so this one was tough. I wanted to create something worthy of the great Chef Costanza, which is not easy, but it also needed to have butter.
Yeah, I
Because
thought you were going to
obviously.
go there.
So I created Chef Costanza's fennel steak with compound butter.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward, but it tastes very complex. So you just take some sirloin steaks, cover them with fennel, pepper, and olive oil, give them a sear, finish them in the oven. And then for the butter, you take some roasted garlic and fresh thyme, mix it all together, and then once you've got your steaks ready, you plop a big old thing of butter on top of there, and even self-proclaimed vegetarians like Tawny would go wild for this steak.
I love it.
It's
That
the
actually
perfect
sounds delicious.
it's a perfect meal to enjoy while reading slash tag, which I loved, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, yeah, as soon as you said recipe, I was like, oh no, this is gonna have butter. But you used butter very tastefully, and
Mhm.
unlike Brit, did not go completely overboard.
I
So,
know I could have made it easy on myself and just said the butter. This is the recipe. It's just butter.
yeah, truly. No,
I
no,
don't think
you went
anybody
you
would.
went highbrow. It was great.
Thank you. There, you gave me a lot to work with. There were a lot of different ways I could take this because I've developed recipes for other books, and sometimes there's no mention of food whatsoever. Like, okay, I gotta get really creative here.
No, I love food, except for writing that scene legitimately turned my stomach. I sent it to my wife, or because I give her pages as I'm writing books. And I gave it to her and I was like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever written. This is horrifying. And she like read it and she's like, what part was it? And I was like, the butter. I made myself sick. Like I didn't want lunch after I wrote that scene. And then and she's like, you've written so many worse things. And it's like you literally have people in this book with like their fingers getting replaced with like scalpels and things melting. And I was like, yeah, yeah, that's all like whatever. But the butter. Um, and so yeah, that still stands to this day for me as in my mind the grossest thing I ever wrote. So as soon as you said recipe, I was like, oh no.
That's so funny. I'm with your wife on this one. Like, it grossed me out, but at the same time, the finger scalpels, no, no. Way worse.
That's what's so great about horror is everybody's got their own
Mhm.
thing that they're afraid of, their own takeaways, and so people are allowed to find whatever they want to be the grossest thing that I've written. I think
Well,
it's butter.
have you eaten butter since writing that book?
Oh, sure, but not like a lot of butter. So one time when I was a lot younger, I like 12 years old, I was at a restaurant. They gave you the balls of butter, and I
Hmm.
loved butter, and I put it all over my bread. And so I was like, there is no such thing as too much butter, and I ate one of the butter balls, and it was like the most disgusting thing I ate. And that's where I went back to, like when I was writing, I was thinking about this like one instance at a restaurant when I was 12, eating a ball of butter and being like, nope, this is disgusting. Like, I giving myself making myself queasy just talking about it.
I get that. I mean, in high school, I had a kid in my Spanish class who had a stick of butter, and somebody was like, "I'll give you $100 if you eat that whole stick," and he just started cramming the stick, just whole stick of butter, just
Oh
in there.
no,
I was
no.
disgusted. Like
Yeah.
it was so gross. I mean, he stayed in class for the rest of the period, but I'm like, clearly something must have happened after that. That's not right. We're not meant to do that.
No, no, that's awful. That's awful.
Well, I will be including this recipe in the show notes for
Oh,
anybody
great.
who needs some fuel during a reading binge. And also, side note
Fantastic.
about Slash Tag, I didn't realize until somebody told me that there's actually a podcast based on the book, that's all
There
real.
is. Yeah, yeah. So there's certain points in the book where when they give the little updates at the end of the chapters, and it'll be like, hey, head to /taginsider.com. There's a new episode of Talking Tag. And I recorded 5 episodes with a buddy of mine, and we brought in like actor friends to come in for episodes as special guests. The audiobook narrator plays Lucy Hodge in one of them. And then we have somebody that comes in as Chef Costanza. We have somebody that comes in as the actual designer of the traps for the game. Yeah, we have a bunch of different
So
guests,
cool.
and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it started out as something that was like a really small side thing, and then ended up taking a long time and a lot of effort. But it was super worth it, and it's just like a little Easter egg. Anybody who wants more, there is more.
I'm gonna have to go look that up now because I just thought, oh, that's so cute, that's creative. And then somebody's like, no, there's actually a podcast. I was like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is real. I feel like I also set a hard bar for like other books to be able to like do something that can top that. I was like, oh no, I can't come up with anything as cool as the podcast.
You will, though. Sometimes I think that when I finish something, and there's always more.
Yeah, there
Like
is. There is.
manatees. Just put manatees in.
Exactly.
You can do it.
Exactly.
Where
Awesome.
tell us well where people can find you and keep up with you and your work.
Yeah, so my name on everything is at John Cohn author. I'm on Instagram. I'm technically on TikTok, so I don't really do much with it. But on Facebook also, I'm John Cohn author. My website is www.johncohnauthor.com. You can see all my board games, all my books. You can get autographed copies from there. So yeah, pretty much at any time you Google John Cohn author, you'll find everything that I do.
That makes it easy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you. This was an absolute blast. Honestly, you set a high bar for my week here. It's only Monday we're recording this, and I'm like, I'm ready. I'm excited for my whole week now.
Yeah,
So
we're energizing ourselves for the week. That's what this is.
yeah,
We're gonna like go out
absolutely.
and run a marathon or something.
Yeah,
That's
just
how
getting all the creativity going. Now I'm ready to write a new story about killer manatees.
honestly I'd read it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.